All right, welcome. We are in for a great session today with Haute Residence, with a tremendous Haute developer partner, direct from the Caribbean. And as everyone logs in and we begin, I'd like to go around, starting with you, Joe, what your biggest takeaway has been, and let's say these past 8 months.
Well, there was a real estate agent from the Hamptons quoted who said that people's life plans changed in a weekend. And I found it to be really informative. And another Wall Street, a top level Wall Street trend analysis person stated that we'll look back on COVID as being almost a decade of change condensed to within 18 months to 2 years. And I really feel, both of those. I think that people really determined quickly what is most meaningful in their lives and landed on that, on what was meaningful to them and acted accordingly and with haste. And I really find that. And then with regard to how life has worked, we've all changed so much internally, and we've all changed so much in our action that it seems like multiple years of change when it's really been multiple months of change. And I think our business, as we'll talk about later, has changed according to how people's psychology has changed during this period.
Thank you, Joe. Vasco, how about you?
We lived in a little bubble here in Turks and Caicos. That's where we're based, and so we weren't exposed to the worst that a lot of our friends were in the bigger cities. So I think on a personal level, my main takeaway was really just realizing that one should enjoy what you have, focus on the present. I don't know if that makes sense. It's you travel a lot, you plan a lot of things in and out, and suddenly you're kind of stuck in the same place for many months. We're in lockdown for 3 months, 4 months. And you just suddenly realize, you look around and there's a lot to do. So we start kiteboarding, wake surfing, and so that was in a way a great time in many ways on a personal level. And on a professional level, obviously it was difficult. We had to, shut down our operations while the airport was closed, but allow us again the same thing, to focus on what we have and focus what makes sense to our owners and guests. And our product, by being very private and secluded, was sort of on the first wave of recovery. And we've seen, like Joe said, a lot of our buyers, owners, guests really enjoying the experience we have of sort of very, very personalized touch, very secluded, sort of the resort on your own home. And we're seeing them spending more time, coming more often, actually. And that's been amazing. I mean, we had our best 4 months ever since January this year, both on the operations and on the real estate sales.
Vasco, thank you very much. And Nina, last but not least.
Yeah, I echo a lot of what was said, and that, it's just been a period where you see people kind of refocusing and prioritizing what's important to them, and whether it's people that already knew Turks and Caicos very well and were living here and spending time here, or people that have actually discovered it for the first time. It's been really refreshing to see how, it's a place that people really look forward to coming to. It represents a retreat for them. And it's been a period of kind of rediscovery of what we already have right in front of us, appreciating what we have. But it's definitely been a period of change where we've seen people that usually come for 2 weeks a year spend months at a time and take advantage of this opportunity, and be grateful for what we have. So it's been a really productive and great time of growth.
Well, it's a stunningly beautiful area. And I know the measures that have been taken there in the past several months have really protected it all. And I know that we are all very excited to learn more about Beach Enclave today. So thank you all so much for joining us. And as we go through who our esteemed panelists are today, we have Vasco Borges, who's CEO of Beach Enclave. He has more than 20 years of experience in luxury branding, real estate development, and hospitality. Prior to Beach Enclave, Vasco worked as CFO for Grace Bay Resorts, where he was instrumental in the development and opening, of the estate's Grace Bay Club, and led construction completion and opening of the Veranda Resort and Residences, later sold to Sandals Group for a TCI record price. Tremendous for Turks and Caicos. He also worked 7 years at McKinsey & Company as a consultant and project manager in the luxury goods and private equity practices across Europe, South America, and Asia, and as a brand manager at Danone. Vasco speaks 4 languages fluently and has lived in 5 countries across 4 continents. Vasco, thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
Next, we have Joe Zahm, President Broker, Turks and Caicos Sotheby's International Realty. Great to have you here. A U.S. trained attorney who is an acknowledged leader in the Turks and Caicos Islands resort, real estate, and development sectors, and has played an integral and pioneering role in the design, development, sales, and marketing of many of its finest developments and properties for over 30 years. In 2009, Joe merged his successful real estate firm, Connolly Zahm Properties, with Turks and Caicos Sotheby's International Realty in 2009 to form the premier luxury real estate brand in the Turks and Caicos. In the past 25 years, Joe has brokered over $2 billion in real estate sales and continues to strengthen the company as president and broker, industry, and as a community leader. He co-founded the Turks and Caicos Resort Association, served on the nation's tourist board, and is an active trainer for the Turks and Caicos Real Estate Association, and even wrote and produced local hits such as Every Man and Beautiful by Nature. Joe, quite the broad range and tremendous panelist to have with us today. Thank you so much.
Great to be here. Thank you.
And next we have Nina Siegenthaler, Vice President of Turks and Caicos Sotheby's International Realty. A Turks and Caicos Islands belonger of Swiss origin, Nina was born in Nassau, Bahamas. She began working with Turks and Caicos Sotheby's International Realty broker Joe Zahm in 2003. 2021 marks Nina's 18th year in the Turks and Caicos Islands real estate industry. Consistently ranked as the top producer in dollar sales volume in the jurisdiction by a wide margin, Nina remains the #1 producer with over $100 million in sales production annually for the last 2 years, specializing in high-end property marketing and sales, known for her excellent sales process and service level with buyers and sellers at all price points. She has successfully sold many of the island's most significant properties, including record-breaking villa and condo sales on Providenciales and Parrot Cay, reaching $27 million in single transaction value. Nina has traveled the world extensively and is fluent in English, French, and German. Nina, thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you.
So let's begin with the region as a whole, beginning with you, Velasco. What is the big draw from a global audience? Why Turks and Caicos?
Why Turks and Caicos? Well, I think the first thing is why Caribbean, right? And it's to me it's remarkable that sometimes we forget that there's no other place in the world that has sun and good weather across the year at an hour flight or to Miami or 3 hours flight to New York. Anywhere else in Europe in the winter, for instance, you're stuck where you are. And here you have a place where there's all year round great weather, 3 hours from New York. You have breakfast in New York, you have lunch here. And then within the Caribbean, there's many diversity. I think Turks and Caicos stands out for many reasons. One is that the beaches are outstanding. Now, you travel in the world, you'll see as nice beaches as here, but you don't get them where you can fly again 3 hours from New York. It's really unique. You have beautiful, beautiful beaches. And then you have all this set up around it, where it's the US dollar, it's a UK territory, it's UK laws. It's a very, very interesting place to invest and to own. So you have that, and you have the place which it was literally undeveloped until about 20 years ago. So you've avoided all the big mistakes that maybe some other islands do, like big buildings or cruise ships. And so it's a very boutique, very high end, very well preserved thus far island. And these things together are just a really unique combination.
Great. Thank you, Vasco. Joe, give us a little more insight.
Yeah, I would add to Vasco. I recall, I want to say it was in 1989, in the latest of 80s, where I was reading a high-level strategic business plan from what is now, I guess, a top 4 accounting firm. They were talking about all the wonderful fundamentals that Turks and Caicos had then, but it just took another decade or so to get enough critical mass on the ground with infrastructure in order to support what those fundamentals are. When one really thinks about it, we're 3 hours from New York and Philadelphia, pretty much, and 3.5 hours from Toronto, and an hour and 15 minutes from Miami. And those gateways are now broadening. We not only have gateways all across the Northeast corridor, down to Florida and the Southeast, but we also have Texas, we have Chicago, we have from London, and we have private, many private flights coming in per day, especially on the weekends, flying in truly from all over the world. So one of the most important things is we're easy to get to, and that's so essential. And then once you get here, it's easy to get around. It's easy to navigate. It's easy to travel inter-island within the main island of Providenciales. It's easy to hop on a boat and go to Paraquay. It's easy to drive to Amanyara on the northwest point of the island. And that ease of use and access is essential to what I believe is our greatest selling proposition at this time. And when you combine that with our first world infrastructure that we have in place and Miami-Dade building codes and really a wonderful professional community, you paint a picture of ease. And I think with things being so complicated with COVID, it is really, I would say it's cemented that positioning in the marketplace and made this destination even more appealing to tourists and certainly to real estate investors, and vis-a-vis the rest of the world. We kind of saw this coming when we saw the real estate blossoming quickly in the Hamptons and the coastal towns of the Northeast, such as the New Jersey shores and the Connecticut area and those suburbs, as well as ski towns, such as top-level ski towns such as Aspen and Vail and Sun Valley and Jackson Hole. And what we saw was basically about a 3-month lag period while our nation was closed. Then once we reopened our borders in July 22nd, I think it was, Vasco and Nina, right? The floodgates just opened. And we've seen a historical market unlike anything I've even come close to seeing in my 30-year career. But the fundamentals, it all follows the fundamentals besides, the beautiful by nature islands that we have and the great weather and water and beaches and not too crowded. It's not dense here. Are those other fundamentals just easy to get to, easy to get around, enough infrastructure in place, excellent professional services available to people who want to come here and to invest and to do business, and as well as just really wonderful tourism real estate product that's in a safe haven environment with no taxation.
Great points. Thank you, Joe. Nina, anything you'd like to add from there?
Yeah, I was going to add, I think we've really seen a change in the last 15 to the last 10 years in terms of this becoming much more of a year-round destination. So I remember thinking back in the day, we didn't really do a ton of business between, let's say, May and November, and that's completely shifted. And I think it also went from, if you traveled, you'd talk to people and tell them where you were from, and they were like, oh, I know somebody who went there. Or know somebody who's going there, and it's kind of changed now to, if I talk to somebody in the States, it's almost like everybody knows somebody who's here right now or about to come down next week. So the awareness has really changed in the last decade as well as we've grown. So it's been interesting.
It's a luxury international brand and an important one.
Excellent. Now I'd like to move over to the Beach Enclave, starting with you, Vasco. From where did Beach Enclave Turks and Caicos originate, and when were the first plans made?
Sure, and perhaps, yes, I'll ask that we share a few slides that we have here, a few images, and we can go down a little bit. It all started, these islands, as I mentioned, the real estate sort of took over really in the 2000s. And for the better part, as an owner, as a guest, you could either buy a condominium on a resort, or you could buy a standalone home with all the goods and bad things about that. And we couldn't figure out, why couldn't we combine that? Why couldn't you have your own private seclusion of your home with the resort amenities that you expected? And these thoughts were being had in 2014, when there was a lot of trends going on in terms of multi-generational traveling or groups, and we thought there was something there. But to make it work, we had to find the right pieces of land. They had to be on the main beaches of Turks, but also sort of not necessarily right in the center, but a little bit more to the side, a little bit more secluded. And they had to be large tracts of land, because we believed to make it work, we had to do low density. And we found 3 pieces of land on what I think are the 3 best beaches. And Claire, you can sort of keep going down. And so we started with 3 resorts. We started in 2014, and there's a real estate play and hospitality play. The real estate play, for an owner, it's very clear. You get a home that is within a resort, so you get all the amenities that you would expect on a resort. You get the preventive maintenance, and if you so wish to rent, we'll have a rental program. And then the hospitality component, which we brand ourselves under Beach Enclave, is exactly delivering that experience to our owners and guests. And what we've done is, we talked at the time with quite a few operators, but we couldn't quite find one that wanted to do it the way we wanted to do it, which is a very personalized service. Every guest has his own butler, has its own housekeeper. We'll have a concierge that will attend to all the needs pre and during and post departure. And so it's a very, very personalized experience, as secluded as they wish. We do have sort of, bars or restaurants on the property, but you can do most of it in the villa if you wish. So we have a team of chefs that can come to the villa and so forth. So that was the experience we wanted to do. And we went at it in 3 locations, and the real estate was a success. So far, everything we've done was pre-sold on the 3 locations. One is on Grace Bay, which is, by many considered the best beach in the world. And when you're there on our property with the sunset right in front of you, understand why. But we also have one in Long Bay, which is sort of it's our ski resort here, except that instead of ski, you have kiteboarding. You have the best place to learn and intermediate kiteboarding. That's where I'm learning. You have the gentle breeze, constant breeze coming in. It's shallow, so it's fantastic for kids, fantastic for water sports. And then our first resort, which is North Shore, which is very dear to my heart. It's on a private beach, which is unusual here on the island. And the villas stand at sort of about 35, 40 feet above water, which is extremely unusual. So you have that beautiful view of all the north side, the reef. You can see the whales. It's on a national park, so there's amazing snorkel right from the beach. And in all of them, what we've created was a collection of villas with different designs, different options, different additions, so we could customize that experience to the owners and to the guests. And like I said, that was quite a bit of success. These tend to be large villas, sort of 5, 6, 7 bedrooms, a lot of indoor, outdoor space. We started developing our own design ethos of seamless indoor and outdoor space, a lot of glass, clean, modern lines, but very softened with organic materials. So that's where we came from. This notion of why can't you have the best of the 2 worlds insofar as your own villa and the resort managed on a very private, on a very secluded location. Each of our resorts has anywhere between 9 to sort of 15 villas. We are doing a few things now in the future, which I'm sure you're going to ask me about, so I'll get to that in a minute. But the one thing that I, in retrospect, that I'm really proud of, sorry, I'm just doing a little parenthesis here, is that for the last 2 years, we've been #1 TripAdvisor here on the island. We all know how TripAdvisor works. Its volume tends to be sometimes a little bit better on lower price points due to expectations, but we have an ADR of $5,000 a night. That's our average rate per night. And nonetheless, we are #1 TripAdvisor with perfect 5-star rating for the last 2 years.
Amazing. Vasco, in one sentence, can you sort of sum up, what were you looking to do and accomplish with these residences in one sentence?
I want our owners and guests to feel at home. I want them to feel that the 1 acre of land and the lush gardens we have around, it's just home. And we see that all the time with our guests when they arrive. So for instance, small detail, when you go to rent a villa and there's a butler there, there's always that awkward moment there about who's this guy here? Is he going to help us not? We have all our butlers filming a video introducing themselves to the family. We already have their liking, so there's already going to be specific toys and specific things for the kids. So there's that sense the moment you get that you're just home, and that's where you're gonna call home for the next week or 10 days or whatever is the stay. That's something that I haven't seen a guest leaving that doesn't know or doesn't become almost a friend with the butler or doesn't become a friend with the concierge. There's a very sort of close relationship created there.
Excellent. Thank you. Joe and Nina, I'd like to hear from you. Can you tell us a little bit about the amenities? Go a little more in depth there for us.
Well, what separates Beach Enclave from standalone villas is the amenity set, which starts with their butler service and their private chef service, water sports. At the Beach Enclave, their next phase will consist of a spa. Beach Enclave Long Bay, the next phase, the club, which last we were talking about, will bring in beachfront food and beverage, a signature restaurant right there on the beach, kite surfing right on the beach, which they already have, and then rooftop spa, for example. Beach Enclave Phase 2 on North Shore as well. There will be further amenity sets, so you can pretty much do whatever you would like to do from those villas, but you're not on your own. You have more. There's tennis. There's basketball at certain locations, and they're in the process of fleshing this out all the way to the point that when you stay at a Beach Enclave property, you won't have to compromise your amenity set, and people really love it, and they also like the security of it as opposed to just staying at a standalone villa. Need anything to add on that?
Yeah, I think that now that we're, 5-6 years into the phase ones of some of these projects, we're also now going through, resales and seeing how these villas have held up over time. So not only is it kind of the perfect balance of, I want a little bit of community, I want amenities at my fingertips if I want them, but I can also retreat to the privacy of my own space. That balance has struck a real chord, and it's worked really well. But then there's a very important component, which is the service component. And I think what we're seeing now as these properties age is that they're aging really, really well because of the level of care and maintenance and thoughtfulness and attention that they get that you just cannot really replicate in a standalone environment. And I think our owners, investors, and guests appreciate that.
Thank you, Nina. And thank you, Joe. Vasco, back over to you. What can you tell us that you've covered a lot so far, but what's the big differentiation here between your other projects?
Between the three properties?
Yes.
We actually like to think of ourselves as Beach Enclave Turks and Caicos, and we happen to have 3 locations. And each of the locations has its own sort of character. That's what we emphasize. Long Bay is a very barefoot setup. I mean, the homes, you go out to the decks and onto the pool and you're in the sand. So it's very sort of foot in the sand, very relaxed. A lot of water sport activities. I mean, a lot of our owners there. It's very interesting actually, because we set them up and then we actually see people sort of slowly moving to what we thought about it. And so in Long Bay is this notion of, hey, just go there, just windsurf, kiteboard. And we see a lot of our guests taking up on kiteboard. We actually have a kiteboard school, an agreement with one of the operators here on island, and you can have some kiteboard classes for free. So that's at Long Bay. At North Shore, you know, as I said, you're sort of 40 feet above water, which doesn't sound a lot in other places, but you know, you live in Miami, you get it, it's a big deal, and you're facing your own private beach. And so we carved on the rock, suspended a yoga deck and gym, and we do a great yoga program, and we see a lot of our guests sort of picking up on that and coming back for that. And then Grace Bay is Grace Bay. I mean, I think it's only when you come here and you realize you're on the best beach in the world, on the shape of the beach where you can face the sunset, that you realize how beautiful it is. You have, you know, you can walk for 6 miles, and most of those miles you're not going to see a lot of people on the best beach in the world 3 hours and out from New York. It's remarkable. What we're doing though, and I don't know if you want to talk about that right now, and sort of what's our plans going forward. But we're pushing the envelope on two properties, the North Shore and the Long Bay. And maybe Claire, if you want to show the next slide. So North Shore, we started with this notion of 9 homes. It's the homes that you see on the right-hand side of your screen, and the amenities being more about the service, obviously the fitness center, the yoga and all that. But we also realize that there's also this need of our owners and guests to just go to a bar, meet some people, send the kids there for a burger while they could take an hour off, or to a kids club. And to do so, we've thought about having a little bit more number of homes to maintain those services. At the same time, everything that we've done thus far has been sort of the $5 million and up, $5 to $10 million. I think our biggest price thus far has been 13 million, pre-sales always. We thought there was a nice gap there in the market between this sort of $5 to $10 million home, but also then this other condominium that's more at the 2 million. And so we've created these beach houses, slightly more efficient footprint, still the same ethos of a lot of space, a lot of frontage facing the water, a lot of seamless and outdoor space. And what you see there on the left-hand side of the page is a project we launched in October with 5 beachfront homes, elevated 35 feet, and then 5 more ocean view behind, but elevated as well. And those range between $2 to $3.7 million, between 3 and 4 bedrooms. So it's the same concept, but sort of on a beach house rather than a villa. We've added a tennis court. We had that sort of restaurant, the bar. So now you have a true full resort at North Shore, which I think is very, very interesting, while still keeping sort of a very low density. We have about, I believe, 12 acres, and we're going to have 19 homes on them. And the way we've created, so I don't know if Claire, if you want to pass on to the next slide. The way we're creating, you can see the elevation I'm talking about, and so sort of the beautiful private beach and that elevation. The way we're creating these is carving on the rock these homes. Once they're done, they will feel like they've been there forever, and you'll only see one floor on the beachfront once. And so we cascaded the home using the natural inclination of the rock. We literally started construction last week. We've launched this project in October. We had once the airport opened, we literally sold all our inventory, and so we launched this in October. And last month we already sold out of the inventory. And Claire, do you want to keep going down the slides? That's the final product. It's a very we've engaged these architects, Jacobson Arquitetura out of Brazil. They are probably the sort of the forefathers of the tropical modern design, and this notion of building something that is lush, that feels like it's been there quite for a bit, with very clean lines, linear, but very soft and with organic materials. And we love them. We love working with them. We're doing some fantastic stuff together. So that's how they're going to look like, modern, but sort of timeless, I want to say. And you can see the sort of the enhanced yoga and restaurant and so forth on the left-hand side, as well as the sort of the beach access to the ocean view homes. That's what we're going for. At Long Bay, we thought we had an amazing opportunity, and maybe Claire, if you want to go down a little few of the slides, keep going down all the way to Long Bay. That's, by the way, North Shore and the design. But if in Long Bay, we have phase 1, which is on your left, 5 sort of villas. And we wanted there to create something a little bit more unique. I mean, you're on, like I say, on the kiteboarding mecca. you have this amazing breeze there, and how do you use that? And we thought that bringing something more of a sort of a more full resort with a spa, with a fine dining, with a rooftop lounge would make a lot of sense on that location. And so we've done some of these beach houses which are complete, and maybe Claire, you want to keep going down. That's the phase one homes, if you wish. Again, you can see sort of 100 feet of frontage, a lot of glass. The next phase, which we just about to complete, is these homes. These were completed about 2 months ago. So they are sort of off the frontage, 4-bedroom homes with a master facing the ocean. Again, that very sort of clean, modern design that we bring in. You can see they're smack on the sand. The exciting thing is probably what's on the next slide, which, sorry, the following slide. The following, yeah, which is what we're going to start now in December. This is almost sold out. There's only a couple of units available, which is a 24 unit hotel, all beachfronts, all very wide. So we've transported what we thought made us special on villas onto a vertical component, which is a lot of frontage, a lot of indoor and outdoor space. So for instance, if you acquire a 3-bedroom here, you're going to have 51 feet of frontage. It's a lot of frontage for a condominium. On the top, we have that spa and yoga deck and sort of rooftop lounge in the evening. And on the bottom, we're going to have a restaurant and bar. And this is very exciting because it allows us to do, we have a lot of our guests coming with a family and saying, it would be so cool to just come with my wife. It would be so cool to come just a smaller group. And these allow us to do that and will allow us to have the full resort amenities such as a spa and so forth. Sorry, I went on a long tangent, didn't I, April?
No, it's wonderful. It's wonderful. The exclusivity and the separation is, I feel like that's something that's always been sought after, and especially now. Absolutely. Yeah. Can you talk to us a little bit about, anything people should know on travel restrictions, or if they want to come in and take a look at some of these properties? What do we need to know?
So Turks and Caicos is a really interesting location because we all, myself and fellow developers and resort owners, we help a lot the government. We get together and assist them in a lot of things. And I think the way that we approached this situation was extremely well done. And it went on stages, right? So first the country did shut down up until we had the right testing and so forth. And then we were lucky because we are a UK territory to actually get a lot of vaccines. So the vast majority, I believe, in our property, I think it's 85% of our staff is already vaccinated, and that's the same across the island. And so it's a very safe environment to come. The only thing you need to do is to get a PCR test done in the previous 5 days.
Okay.
And that's the only thing you need to do. And once you're here, every resort can bring to your villa, to your unit, can bring testing. If you wish to go back to US, you have to have an antigen test done in the last 72 hours. So we'll bring that to our guests on the resort, and about 12 hours later, you get the results. So it's extremely easy to go back and forth, so to speak, to travel here and then to travel out again.
Yeah, seamless. Sounds like you all make it, very easy.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Joe, Nina, talk us through a little bit of the sales side, going through the height of the pandemic and now. Where are you seeing your audience coming in from in terms of, looking at properties and also purchasing properties? Beginning with you, Joe.
I would start and say we've had an amazing run with Vasco and his team at Beach Enclave. When we sold, I believe, over 122 to 25 million in new development sales since we joined forces in 2015, and another 35 plus million in resales. And these are very popular resales if one comes up on the market. Vasco has also had people who trade up within his own developments. That's happened, 2 or 3 times. So, we've been trending. We've been a solid luxury brand for a while in TCI for sure. But the pandemic has created a whole new level, to the point that even in my wildest aspirations, of what the market would do. I think I still underrated what the market could do here. It was funny because we would have these regular Zoom sessions back a year ago where the psychology was much different, and people were fearful and we didn't know what was going to happen. There were health fears and there were financial fears, et cetera. But we saw green shoots, and I would speak to my team on a biweekly basis on Zoom. We would speak and we would talk about, what we felt, and we felt that there was a path to post-COVID. And Nina said it beautifully. I said, Nina, why are people looking at real estate now? It was almost impossible to get to Turks then. It was very difficult. It was closed for a while. We were selling remotely. We were selling off Google Hangout and FaceTime or whatever it was, closing deals and then queuing people up to come back. And Nina just said it so well. She says, people really want to be here. And they really wanted to be here. And they went to great ends to be here during the early stages of the pandemic. But what surprised me the most was we didn't have to wait till the end of the pandemic. In the middle of it, we started to see incredible demand in the luxury sector. And we'll see in 2021, at the end of the year, a market that does far more than $500 million. And we're historically about a $300 million market per year. So we're escalating and elevating to a level that we didn't see coming. But the buyers are very sober. They're not buying for investment. They're buying because they value, beautiful real estate in a great weather location, again, with great ease of use and access and safety. And so I just couldn't say enough about the psychology of our buyers who are coming in, just A+ profiles, and the quality of our product. And Beach Enclave has led the way. We've just had a wonderful run and are so appreciative of Vasco and his team, and the partnership that we forged over the last, half a decade or 6 years. And I'll turn it over to Nina because she does a lot more transactional work than I do.
Yeah, obviously, a year ago, we didn't really know what to expect, but I think somebody predicted, I forget, it was somebody at Sotheby's, that there might be a flight to quality during this time. And I think that has, in fact, become true, where, people rely on the infrastructure and teams that Beach Enclave has on the ground here, because a lot of our owners obviously don't spend the majority of the year here. So having that reliability and that safety factor has been a real differentiator in our sales process. But I think with all of that said, we've all been surprised by the level of sales activity, particularly with pre-construction. So that's taken me by surprise as well, in a good way.
Thank you, Nina. Vasco, back over to you. What opportunities are there right now for a potential buyer?
Well, I think it's the island is still there's still quite a bit of development available. I believe if someone wants to come in as an investment, your best opportunity is to acquire something pre-built. We've seen our homes, for instance, homes that we sold at 4 or 4.5 to then trade at 6 later on. Because once you finalize the entire resort and you have it sort of humming along, there's an immediate uptick on the value of your assets. And as Joe and Nina elegantly pointed out, I think we do a very good job on the maintenance, and that helps. One anecdote, we had obviously Hurricane Irma hitting us and many of our sister islands in the Caribbean in 2017, and I was here. And I think if there was a Category 6, that would have been a Category 6. It was quite scary. And yet, 2 months later, we were opening the resort. North Shore at the time was the only one that we had finished. 2 months later, we were having the first guests coming through the door. So the infrastructure we have here, the quality of construction is truly unique. And I think that together with the support that we give, it makes people very confident in acquiring pre-buy. The villa component is really taken over here. We were probably a little bit helping that on the start, and this notion of having, rather than going up vertically, to have sort of a lower density. It's obviously a little bit more difficult on the financials, but you know, the market has caught up with us in terms of pricing and realizing that there's value on these and there's uplift on that. So I would say that sort of standalone, villas within a managed situation, particularly pre-buy, it seems to be a very good investment.
Thank you, Vasco. Joe and Nina, you know, when we look at these beautiful photos and, you know, the brochures and so forth, we had an audience question actually that I was messaged. They're asking if the water is as blue as it appears in this presentation.
Even better.
Even better.
Even better than the reality.
Yeah, and I would add to that, I mean, literally having seen this water every day for most of my life, I still go out there with prospects and we just kind of stop and stare. It just takes your breath away, and even if you see it every day, all day, you don't tire of it. It's I pinch myself on a very, very regular basis.
You know, April, this is North Shore, and I mentioned this is a national park.
Yes.
There's not been a single day I've been outside there snorkeling, you know, with my kids or guests telling it they haven't seen turtles. It's really remarkable how we are this beautiful little ecosystem here that has been kept very, very teeming. So every day we see turtles there. On the season, we see whales breaching out after the reef. It's just a beautiful place, you know, to bring young kids or even sort of as older and just start exploring, going further. It might be kiteboarding, it might be sort of going on a day trip with boating. It's really remarkable what we have here.
It's absolutely stunning. And I think the lifestyle and it's a stunning property and a stunning area, and you all have just done a beautiful job. And Vasco, I think your work really speaks for itself as well. So what an exciting project. Can you talk us through a little bit more, you know, going in through the end of the construction phase, anything else you can share with us?
So the process normally is we have a team of owner relations, we call them, that are the sort of the go-to throughout construction, and then as we pass into enjoying the home and having guests there. We're lucky that what we do is very sort of boutique on scale, so we can do a very personalized service also on the real estate side. We normally have a few home designs that one can choose from a list of options. You may add a cottage, a garage, just, you know, have 2 or 3 designs for the bathroom and or the master and so forth. And they can go through that, and there's a little bit of variation allowed. And then as we go through the construction, we involve them on the furniture. This is a turnkey, I should have mentioned. This is a turnkey. I mean, ideally, or for sure, an owner, the first day they arrive on their home, they literally can prepare a sandwich. You know, because we'll stock the fridge, we'll have all the furniture, all the cutlery, everything. So we have a furniture package proposed to them. The landscaping, some just tell us, hey, do whatever you think is best. Others want to be part of that, and we like that. We don't want them to be cookie cutter, just as long as they keep to our standards. And so as we go from completion of construction, punch list, and installing everything that we need to install in the home in terms of furniture and landscaping and so forth, it just seems very seamless that you just sort of start living in, and you have the same owner relations team accompanying you throughout. So I think that is actually part of the sort of the turnkey, easy. You know, a lot of our owners say, you know what, you know, I build home in Toronto, I build a home in the Hamptons, and this has been such a much easier process than that. And that makes us very happy, because that's exactly what we try to do.
Thank you, Vasco. Talk to us a little bit too, Joe and Nina, logistically, how far is the property located from the airport?
Well, Beach Enclave North Shore is 5 minutes from the airport, 7 minutes from the airport. Beach Enclave Long Bay is 15 minutes from the airport, and probably same for Beach Enclave Grace Bay. It goes back to what I was saying earlier. It's just the ease of use and access is so different than other jurisdictions. Like I have a friend who in Jamaica who owns GoldenEye, and we love it, but it's 2 hours of bumpy drive from the airport, you know, and in Turks and Caicos, nothing's that far. You know, even if you go to an island, it's easier than that. So that ease of use is just so important. Ease of access.
It's a getaway with the ease. And I mean, it just really, the way that your team operates, and again, the testament to the brand, and Vasco, your whole expertise and what you've built along the way. It's just, white glove, first class service all the way. You all have done an impeccable job, and it is a stunningly beautiful development, multifaceted, incredible.
Thank you.
Are there any final words you'd like to share with us, Vasco?
I would just say to the audience, just calm down. Gotta calm down. We've seen quite a bit of demand for real estate. If you have clients or you're interested in personally, just calm down. There's not a lot of inventory left, not a lot of opportunities here, particularly on the sort of forefront on the prime location. So if this concept tickles you, find your way here. We'll love to welcome you.
Thank you. Nina and Joe.
Well, I would just close in saying that I'm a fan of the brand, and I have been since Vasco, 2014 we started talking about this?
Yeah, exactly.
2014. And I'm a fan of the brand, and it's been an amazing process. The results have been great, but the process has been great because led by Vasco, their team has done such a fantastic job with their deliverables to people. They do what they say, and that is the definition of a saint, because there's when it's not just talk, the action follows, and it creates a hassle-free process for buyers when they go through the purchase process, and a hassle-free and enjoyable experience as they move in and experience their property. So it's been a tremendous career high opportunity for us and experience for us, and we're super grateful to be involved with Beach Enclave and Vasco and his team.
Beautiful. Fantastic. Nina, any final words?
Yeah, just a quick one. I think we've just been really fortunate to strike this great balance between, people's lives are busy, time is so precious, and nobody wants to reinvent the wheel, but they do want to have a feeling that they have their own personalized space. And to me, that's been kind of the driving force behind Beach Enclave, is just that striking that great balance, and it's been successful and fun from day one when this was all on paper many years ago.
Fantastic. Vasco, starting with you, for contact information, what's the easiest way for someone to get in touch with you and also through the project?
Our website, beachenclave.com, or our email, b@beachenclave.com. That'll be the best way. But you can contact us through Sotheby's, obviously, through our website. But the b@beachenclave.com gets you right away on the concierge team, and they'll be sure to send us to the hospitality side if that's the case, or to the real estate side.
Fantastic. Joe and Nina, we can have some direct contact information as well for each of you.
Well, our website is Turks And Caicos, SIR.com. The end is AND. And that's a great way to reach us, or by email, joe@tcsotheby'srealty.com, and it's Joe @tcsotheby'srealty.com, or Nina@tcsotheby's.com. But again, the website is the keys of the kingdom, as well as we have we have a wonderful company Instagram site. Nina has an Instagram. I have an Instagram. You can see it's on social as well. Nina, anything to add to that?
You nailed it. Thank you.
Well, I want to thank each of you for spending this almost hour together with us at Haute Living and Haute Residence, and just what an exceptional product and area and team. And, looking forward to seeing so much more ahead.
Thank you, April.
Thank you, April.
Thank you, April. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks to Haute.